Hello and welcome to Sound Off with System 1. I'm your host, Krista Kornchuk, and I'm here today with our panel of experts to talk with you about getting an entry-level role or a job post-grad. Before we get started, here are a few words about System 1. System 1 is a leading provider of specialized, highly technical outsourced services and workforce solutions to critical infrastructure, technology, life sciences, and government sectors, putting more than 650 employees and 9,000 contractors to work in the United States, Canada, and the UK. As you're tuning in today, please join us in the comments. Our marketing team will be monitoring them. Let us know where you're joining from and what industry you work in. And if you have any questions relevant to today's topics, please drop them in there as well, and we can try to answer as many of those as possible. And before we have our panel introduce themselves, you can scan the QR code or visit jobs.system1.com. Let's start with our panel. Jennifer, what do you have for us for a hot job?
Thanks, Krista. Hey, Amanda. Hi, everyone. I'm Jennifer Novajowski. I'm the Senior Director of Recruitment for Joule's Life Sciences recruiting teams. I support our Greater New York City and Greater Philadelphia recruiting teams. We focus on contract to hire, direct hire, temporary staffing within the life sciences space, specifically on the scientific side. And I have been with Joule for about 17 years, and I work out of the New Jersey office. So today's hot job that I'd like to spotlight is a really great opportunity for an electrical mechanic role that we have with our client that's an actual integrated biopharmaceutical company located in central New Jersey. So they have a really strong focus or R&D focus on creating and manufacturing a pipeline of products in areas such as biosimilars, various vaccines, and therapeutics. So for this opportunity, they are looking for somebody who has an associate's or bachelor's degree in mechanics, electronics. Any additional certifications are always a plus, like something in refrigeration or instrumentation, along with 2 to 5 years of GMP manufacturing experience. And ultimately, this person is responsible for preventative, predictive, and corrective maintenance on process and utility equipment. So it's a really great opportunity. If this is something that might be a great fit for you, or if you know of somebody who's looking for work that this might be a great fit for, please check out the job that's listed here on the screen. We can connect on LinkedIn so that way we can help get you started with your search.
Hi, everyone. I'm Amanda Knuth. I am a senior staffing coordinator out of our System 1 New Jersey division, and I specialize in both commercial, professional, also some engineering recruitment as well. I am highlighting a position today for a client project coordinator in Canton, Massachusetts. This is with a client that specializes in mostly building materials, and they're ultimately looking for somebody that can partner with their customers to process orders, coordinate shipments, and really ensure timely delivery of materials to job sites so that they can ensure that all of the materials are there. And it's kind of acting as a liaison between manufacturing and inventory and the customers. Somebody that could thrive in the position would be someone with a strong customer service focus, previous SAP experience, and then strong technical skills. There is a data entry and administrative aspect to the role, and eventually they'd be interested in somebody that's open to traveling to trade shows, handling customer visits, obviously a lot of team meetings. If this is something you're interested in, feel free to reach out to me directly, or you can apply with the job number on our website.
Perfect. And make sure you connect with Jennifer and Amanda on LinkedIn if you're interested in any of those roles. Without further ado, we are going to get started with our topic. Again, we're discussing getting an entry-level role post-grad or just joining the job market. Please feel free to drop in your questions. Our first question are, what are the most valuable skills developed to stand out? Amanda, we'll start with you.
So developing skills is obviously part of just like continuous improvement for yourself and really identifying where you can improve. As far as valuable skills that can help an applicant stand out in the job market, it's things like adaptability, critical thinking, strong communication, highlighting teamwork, and things like that, especially from a new graduate aspect where you maybe don't have many exact job skills that you can note on your resume. Highlighting those soft skills or even technical skills is definitely important and can help you stand out.
Yeah, Amanda, those are all really great things. And in general, I think this is such a great topic that, Krista, like you said, it's not just for recent graduates, but for really anybody who's on the job market right now. I think, in terms of those valuable skills, I really think it's communication skills and how you present yourself. Um, Especially like during an interview, right? It's a new experience for some that are out there. So I think, demonstrating your active listening skills, like you pick to listen, but slow to respond, be thoughtful with your. I also think too, just really take the time to think about what's motivating you right now. What are you looking for? Really determining what are your needs and wants. Opportunity.
Definitely. And I know we wanted to talk about just like networking for recent graduates as well, and strategies, that they can use to build their network, which is obviously, very important. I think, as far as networking, it's just, you never know who you're going to meet, and keeping in mind that networking can take place from being out, if you're out somewhere in public, or if you are at a job fair, speaking with people. There's many people that I've spoken with from a position that I previously worked with at System 1, and they're reaching out now and just trying to network about different opportunities there are. And if we can help in any way, ultimately it's all types of networking.
Yeah, no, I agree with that too. And I think it's, social media plays a really big part in that too, especially as a recent grad. Think about what your level of expertise is and look for those groups, like put yourself out there, join groups, engage. I think those are all really important things, to consider there.
Perfect. And I am back. I'm sorry, I'm having some technical difficulties on my end. So I missed a lot of that. It looks like we covered networking. So we will move on to the next question. Can you share some strategies for crafting a resume and cover letter that make a strong impression on recruiters? Amanda, we'll start with you.
So the resume and cover letter is obviously extremely important when applying to a position, whether it's for a recent grad or, applying to any role. Ultimately, making sure that you have a great format for your resume, something that is, clean, a clean looking resume, grammar, utilizing keywords, things like that, just to make sure you're making it through the, the software and everything. And then your cover letter, especially for entry level or recent grads, can highlight things where you kind of want to be in a position, your values, how you can add value to a company and what their core values are and how you can match along with that. So it's really just using what you have, putting it on your resume, and, taking it from there.
Yeah, all really great points. And I always think anytime embarking on something new, right, kind of create your own little mini storyboard, Amanda, like you said, think about what you've done before and then piece it together. There's also some really great online templates out there in terms of putting a resume together, and, you want to tailor it to the position that you're applying for, which might be different roles. So thinking about how you want to present it. The other thing too is that, especially if you're applying for a technical role, you want to think about how do you want to present what work that you've done. Especially if you were part of a team, it's one thing to say that you were doing a project with a team, but you need to be able to showcase what were your individual contributions for that project. So, working with a recruiter, right? That's a really great start too. So those are some just really good things to think about when developing a resume and a cover letter too.
Excellent points. And it looks like we have a follow-up question from Roberto. Does it matter if your resume is 2 pages? It always confuses me when people say 1 page or 2 pages. He also wanted to know about ATS and whether or not it's important.
Yeah, I mean, I can jump in here with that. Unfortunately, it's not, there's no one exact way to do it, right? It really depends on how much experience you have. It depends on the job that you're applying for. If you're a recent grad, you really want to try to truncate your really good experience into 1 page, right? Because the reality is, as hiring managers, they're looking at resumes. They see a lot of resumes every single day. So there's a really short window of time that when they look at a resume, they have to be able to identify, is this person the right fit? So, showcasing like education, core experience. There's so much to talk about those things, which can come at the stage of an interview. So it's really just about finding that balance. There's really no exact rhyme or reason for it, but just, trying to figure out how much experience you have, how much do you want to showcase, and then what to say for the interview process.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
Definitely.
you. Oh, go ahead, Amanda.
Oh, I was just going to add that, this just goes back to changing your resume for each job that you're applying for. Because if you're applying to something that is more technical, if you're applying to something that, requires different skills versus one, you might want to change it. And that could kind of just fluctuate the length of your resume ultimately. But as long as you're highlighting the important things, the length of your resume probably doesn't matter as much.
I'm not sure if I'm frozen on my end. Okay, sorry guys. I think we're all freezing at different stages here.
Yep.
So the beauty of technology. Roberta, I don't know if we answered your question about the ATS, but just to talk about that, if you're referring to applicant tracking systems, I'm not sure if your question is about, does your question about how many pages of the resume and regarding an applicant tracking system, or just about applicant tracking systems at all? I'd be happy to talk to you offline too. So if you want, we can totally connect, and I'd be happy to talk through that with you.
Awesome. And I am back. I hope everyone can hear me. We're having a lot more technical difficulties than normal today. It seems like we're good though. So we're going to move on. What are the most common mistakes made during job interviews, and how can they be avoided? Amanda, we'll start with you.
So I think the biggest thing is lack of preparation in a job interview and preparing for a job interview. It's important to look at the company website and not just make sure that you are a fit for the exact job that you're applying for, but you're a fit for the company. So that's definitely important. Making sure that you're following up after an interview, and then just asking questions, making sure that you have a list of questions that you can ask, making sure your communication is strong during the interview process, and keeping a list of positions that you're applying for. Unfortunately, this is a tough job market, and you can apply for a position. It can take a while to hear back from somebody. So making sure you have an understanding of the positions you've applied for, when you applied, so that if somebody does call you, you're prepared to review all of the information and have a good conversation with them.
Yep, those are all really good points, Amanda. And, interviewing really is an art, and it takes practice. So I really recommend, no matter what stage of your professional journey you're in, I always recommend that somebody look in their network, who's a really good support person that they trust, they can be vulnerable with, and practice, right? Just practice going through, how do you want to present the information, the experience that you have. Try to anticipate what questions you might be asked, and then practice answering those questions. The other thing too is that, again, it's a balance, it's an art, right? Is making sure you're sounding authentic and true to yourself, and not too much like it's a script that you're reading from, because managers and hiring managers really want to see, what is your true personality? What do you bring to the table? The other piece too, which I think is really important, especially if you haven't done this before, is once you've determined what kind of interview it is, especially if it's like a phone interview or a virtual interview, practice, do your homework, right? Like if you have a virtual interview, make sure you don't have a lot of clutter in the background, have your camera on. Like those are really good things to practice. Same thing with being on a cell phone. Are you in an area where there's good reception, right? So I think by doing all of your homework up front, that will set you up to have a really successful interview.
Absolutely. And it looks like we have another question from a viewer. What if someone has experience in 3 different closely related fields, particularly IT fields? Is it recommended to put all the experience if someone is applying for a specific job role? Great question.
I think it's important to put any information you have on your resume, especially if it's, relevant experience to an extent. So even if they're closely related, if it's within, a certain time frame, generally we try to go back at least 10 years with job history for more experienced applicants. So regardless of it being within similar fields or similar positions, definitely putting all of that on there. I'm not sure if that's exactly what you were looking for with an answer, but just making sure you have enough information.
And that's a really good question, because we actually see that a lot on the life sciences side. Like there's a lot of overlap in some of the skill sets that we work with. So, we always recommend at the top of a resume, there's always an opportunity to put like a professional summary or an objective or something like that. So you can gear that towards the job you're applying for, but you could still highlight the other skills that you have from those other types of fields that you've worked in. And again, that just leaves room for more conversation during the interview. So that was a really great question.
Absolutely. And it ties into our next question. How can those entering the job market leverage internships or volunteer work if they lack professional experience? Jennifer, we'll start with you.
I think this in itself is definitely worth showcasing on a resume. It deserves its own conversation. It's huge. If you've done an internship before, it's likely in a field of work that you're going to be pursuing after you get out of school, after you graduate. I think it shows you're going to offer a fresh perspective on industry and what's going on. And if you don't have an internship, but you've done a lot of volunteer work, again, that's super important. And that's just as applicable here. Things like indicating different sports that you've been a part of, indicating different volunteers, especially if you've done multiple things, like that really shows leadership qualities. It shows your time management of the capabilities. It shows that you're a responsible person who can manage a school workload, but also manage doing these other things. It just really speaks to who you are as a person. So I 1,000%, whether you're a recent grad or even a little bit more, further along in your career, it's still really good to put those things.
Definitely. And as I'm talking to people that are in their job search, it kind of just sets someone apart. So it shows a little bit of passion. It shows that you're more than just a job applicant, which we know everybody, is a person. So it's nice to see what somebody's passionate about, what someone takes their time to do. And it really just, it can set somebody apart in their job search.
Absolutely. And we have another audience question. What are some attributes and soft skills that recruiters are looking to see during an interview? I think this ties in perfectly.
Yeah, I can hop in here. You'll hear me say throughout any of these sessions that I come on, I think who you are as a person and how you present itself it's equally as important as the skills you bring to the table. I think it's just being authentic, being your true self, good communication skills, admitting if you're not an expert in something, right? It's okay to say, hey, I've done these things. I feel really good about them. I haven't done XYZ that you're requiring, but I feel like, I can learn. I think just honesty, that's a huge thing. So I think by, being authentic, answering honestly, that'll go a long way.
Absolutely. And what role does social media play in the job search process? Amanda, we'll start with you.
Social media is just, it's a large part of networking, which we were talking about before. So whether you're seeing, different opportunities posted online, if you're utilizing something like LinkedIn, that's a great networking source, obviously. And there's a lot of different, like even Facebook groups and things like that as well. And really just a way to put yourself out there. If you come from more of a creative background, I know a lot of people will have different, even like an Instagram profile or something like that. We've seen from a kind of like a digital creative space where, somebody will link that. So social media definitely plays a large part in making an appearance for yourself.
I feel like this question probably deserves its own spotlight on a Friday afternoon because there's just so many things to talk about with this. Mm-hmm. I think, in my opinion, that the biggest piece that it plays is that social media, LinkedIn, for example, it gives you that opportunity to connect with potential employers, with people that you may not have the ability to connect with if you were just going on the job boards. The job boards are great, but I think by expanding yourself, like for example, if there's like 5 companies that you'd love to work for, follow them on LinkedIn, connect with people that work there, engage with them, make yourself known out in this world, the sea of people. I think that just really will give you that competitive edge over some that may not be doing that.
Absolutely. And we have another question from Suzanne. What about if the position is older than 10 years and was on the resume? Does the recruiter see it efficient and no need to be on the resume?
I think that's just kind of a case by case basis. Unfortunately, it depends on the position that you're applying for. If your resume is one page and then you're adding something from before that 10 years that's going to take it to the 2 pages, maybe you don't have to keep it on there. But if it's very relevant experience, if it shows growth, if it shows you had that position and it kind of took you to where you are now, it's probably worth leaving on there. So it's really just case by case. Working with myself, other recruiters, we really go through a resume in detail with everybody that we're partnering with and try to break it down to where it's best going to approach our client. So if there's something that we always ask, like, what do you think about this? Is this something that you think we need to keep on there? And we would really work with you to see if it's something that's relevant. If you wanted to reach out, I'd be more than happy, to work with you on that resume if it was something from, before 10 years. So feel free to do that.
Perfect. And back to, I think, what is a social media question? Can you discuss the importance of a personal brand for job seekers and how to develop it? Amanda will start with you.
Your personal brand is everything, because it's you and how you're highlighting yourself and really how you're putting yourself out there in your job search. So I think the biggest thing is just increasing your visibility. That's increasing your network, your LinkedIn network. Who are you connected with? Who can you connect with? Who can your connections connect you with? So, it's just like an ever growing network of people that you have and that you can speak with. And it's really self-assessment. So assess yourself. What are your strengths? Where can you improve? How can you enhance your online presence? And then what else can you do to really stand out within your job search?
Yeah, I think, your online presence, like Amanda, you hit the nail on the head. Like that is your first impression to the world. I mean, and that's the reality of our technology world right now, right? So I think it's, thinking about like, how do you want to be seen? And then where are you on social media, right? Like what do you want your brand to look like? And then the other thing to think about that is consistency of your brand. If you are on various social media platforms, you want to make sure that your tone, your intent is consistent with all of those different platforms. And, Amanda, like you hit the nail on the head too, like with engaging, right? It goes back to like follow companies, connect with people that you have an interest, that have a similar background to yourself. The more you engage, it just has this ripple effect within their networks.
Absolutely. And if anyone needs more help increasing their visibility and working on their personal brand, we have Sound Off with System 1 episodes on both networking and completely dedicated to building your personal brand. So we're here to help with that, as well as a System 1 recruiter. And our last question for the day, what are some effective strategies for job searching during economic downturns? Jennifer,
I would
we'll start
say
with
the
you.
number one thing is just maintaining a positive attitude. There's a lot of, there will always be ups and downs in the economy, right? It always, it's just always how it's been, but you just don't want to lose sight on the value that you bring and know that you're not alone. Like there's a lot of candidates out there, really, really, really good job seekers that just go through several interviews and it doesn't land where they want it to be. So I think just having the flexibility and being okay with knowing that you may have to reset your expectations of what you're looking for right now. You never know where that will take you. Sometimes you may be looking for that perfect opportunity that checks every box. And maybe that doesn't exist right now, but that doesn't mean it won't ever exist. So sometimes when you take that leap, you try different things, it could bring you down a path you never knew you wanted to go down. And I just want to be clear, it's not telling people to settle, it's just retooling what you're looking at. So I think that's really important.
Exactly. And it goes back through a lot of the questions we talked about today, what to do, what other options do you have? So make sure you're remaining positive, but you're also networking. You're working with people. Like a lot of people maybe are, hesitant about doing something that's temp to perm or working with a recruiter. There's a lot of different options out there. And it's something that is it's self-improvement. You're working with somebody that can help you on your interview skills, on your resume, taking time to really assess what you have, the strong skills that you have, and then how they can implement into a new role, and what other things you can do to stay on track, in that regard.
Really great points. And I think keeping an open mind really helps you, lead to things that you wouldn't normally look at that often can be even better than what you expected. So keeping an open mind is key. We are out of time for today, but please don't forget to follow System One on LinkedIn if you're not already, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can see other job seeker topics for Sound Off with System One. Don't forget to see our next episode of Sound Off with System One on June 7th at 2 p.m. and we'll be discussing jobs in renewable energy. We'll see you then.